Okay, in this HackerRank problem, I'm going to be going over grading students. All right, let's read this. Hackerland University has the following grading policy. Every student receives a grade in the inclusive range from 0 to 100. Any grade less than 40 is a failing grade. Okay. Sam is a professor at the university and likes to round each student's grade according to these rules. If the difference between the grade and the next multiple of 5 is less than 3, round the grade up to the next multiple of 5. If the value of grade is less than 38, no rounding occurs, as the result will still be a failing grade. Okay, so let's look at the examples. So grade 84 gets rounded up to 85 because 85 is the next multiple of 5. And it's less than 3. 29 doesn't count because it's less than 40. 57 doesn't round. Okay, yeah, so because the difference between 57 and 60 is 3 or higher, it doesn't round. So basically only 59 and 58 would round to 60, and then anything less than 38 doesn't get rounded. And we are going to return an array of integers for the new grades after they get rounded. And what else? We can receive the array size can be 1 to 60, and the range of the grades is 0 to 100. Here's some more sample inputs. Okay, so here, basically right here, the difference between 75 and 73 is 2, so we round it. The difference between 67 and 70 is 3, so we don't round it. That's the difference of 2, so we round it, and that's below 38, so we don't round it. So in this situation, I think the easiest way, the most cleanest way to do this would be to use the Modulus Operator. Let's look at this in the console. So the modulus is going to give us the remainder, and if the remainder is a certain amount, based on that remainder, we can decide whether to round it up or not. So in this case, let's do 73 modulus 5, and that's going to give us a remainder of 3, and we do round it, but so 3, a remainder of 3 we round up, and if it's 74, we're also going to round it up to 75. That's a remainder of 4. However, if it's 72, which is a remainder of 2, we don't round it up. So the pattern here is 2 we don't round up, 3 we do. So we could say if the remainder is greater than 2, we round it up. So remainder is greater than 2, round it. And then also we need to make sure that we only round numbers or grades that are greater than 38. So if it's less than 38, let me write this down. Less than 38, don't round. And then what else? And then what did we say? If the remainder is greater than 2, we round it. And that's, those are the two key pieces of logic that we need to handle. And we're taking in an array of integers, which is grades. So let's make an array that's final grades, and then we're going to return final grades as the answer. And then so we're going to have to loop through the array of grades. I equals 0, I is less than grades dot length. So we loop through the array, and then for each grade, we need to round it if it needs to be rounded, and then we need to push it into the final grades array. Okay, so how can we do this? Okay, so right here, if it's the current grade, if grades I is less than 38, then we don't need to do anything. We just need to push that value into the final grades array. So final grades dot push, and then we take the current value and push it into that array. But if it's greater than 38, this is where we're going to do the rounding. And then we handle the rounding, and then we just return the final grades, and we should be good. And then this is our logic to determine if we round it or not. So if the remainder, so modulus 5, if that is greater than 2, we need to round it. So then we put that logic here. So if grades I modulus 5 is greater than 2, we do round it. So how are we going to determine what we round it up to? Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to have to multiply it out. So how can we do this? Let's say in the case of 38, how do we get that number? So let's clear this. And let's say 38 divided by 5 gets us 7. 7 times 5 is 35. Okay, so I guess we could take we can take the integer of 38 divided by 5. It's going to give us 7. We can increment that value and then multiply it by 5, and that's going to give us 40, right? So we take this, because we know it gets rounded up, then we take that value, add 1, which is going to be 8, and then 5 times 8 is 40, which is the correct rounded number. Okay, so okay, so let's go ahead and do push this. But this is good. We need to make a variable that's going to be rounded. We'll call it rounded grade. So let's rounded grade equal this current value right here. Now we need to, let's say, parse integer, take that, and then once we have that value, rounded grade, we need to increment that, and then we multiply it times 5, I think. So rounded grade equals rounded grade times 5. And then we push that into the array. And then if it's not rounded, I think we just push it in there. Let's see. I mean, let's just give that a go, see what happens. All right, what did I mess up on? Push rounded grade. Okay, type something wrong. Final grades that push. Okay, need to make this an array, I think. Okay, what did I mess up on? 67 worked fine. But when we try to round it, 33, that, okay, 38. Okay, okay, when we're messing up in the rounding part, that's what it is. So rounded grade. Okay. So basically where I messed up was this right here. That's it. I need to divide it by 5, and then let's test that. Now let's do our test cases. And it should work. It took a little while. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so I made a small mistake and forgot to divide it by 5, because like I actually did it right here, and yeah, before I just had it like that instead of divided by 5, and that was my only error. Cool. Yeah, that seems to work fine. So basically what we're doing here is we're just saying that if it's less than 38, we don't round it, and we just take that value and push it into the final grades array. And then we go to the next element of the array. And then we say, if it's greater than 38, which would hit this else statement, then we're going to check if the remainder is greater than 2. We take the grade divided by 5. If the remainder is greater than 2, then we round it. And then we determine the way to round it was like this. We take that value divided by 5, and then we get this, and then we increment that by 1, and then we multiply by 5. So there we are basically doing the same thing. We're taking that. This is going to give us a floating point number, but we're not interested in the decimal portion. We just want the integer portion. Then we take that, increment it by 1, multiply by 5. That's going to give us the rounded grade. We take that rounded grade, push it into the new array. And then, of course, if its remainder is less than 3, which would be the opposite of this right here, we're just going to push the grade in, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it.